tables. I met a Whitney, Rockefeller, and Brown, and they were dancing.
Defining your possible, the first step to transformation. When was the last time that someone truly told you what was possible? When was that? When did you learn the word possible? We grow up being told that possible is out there, that it's within our reach, that anything is possible if we believe. But let me ask you, do we really believe that? Do we honestly believe that anything is possible in a world that often shows us the opposite? A world that tells us possible doesn't exist for people like us. That possible isn't attainable no matter how hard we try. Over this year, I've seen and experienced in 2024 that possible isn't possible. This year, I want to change that. I want to level set. We're going to take back the narrative of what's possible. For the next 365 days, we will dwell in possibilities. We will explore, define, and hone what's possible for each of us, not letting anyone or anything dictate or diminish what's possible, what dream we want to achieve. Because so often we've been told to dream, but the dream's not attainable. We've been told to try, but when we try, we don't get it. We've been told to build, and when we build, it doesn't quite get to where we want it to be. So for 2025, our theme, what defines us as women of color, as people of color, is what's possible. What is your possible? What is your possible? I want us to ask that question over and over and over again. I want us to ask, what's your possible? When we are in situations, I want us to ask, what's your possible? I want us to continuously ask this question because no one gets to determine my possible and no one gets to determine yours. It's time that we reclaim our possibilities from the doubts to the fears, the expectations of those around us. This is our year of possible. Let's make it ours. This is our year. So I want to first thank you for joining me. My name is Margaret Spence. Most of you know me as the founder and CEO of the Inclusion Learning Lab. You also know me from the work I do in diversity, equity, and inclusion and women's leadership development. I had to step back over the last 6 months, take some time for introspection, for learning, for growth, and for personal development. And at the other side of that, I decided that I don't want to be in the fight. I don't want to fight for everything. I want to see what's possible. I want to grow with what's possible. I want to claim what's possible. I want to define what's possible. And I want to build what's possible for me, for you, and for everyone that looks like me. So it's not enough for us to just coexist anymore. It's not enough for us to say, this is what we want. I want to just reintroduce myself. My title isn't author, speaker, consultant, or leader. It's Chief Possibility Architect. For over 25 years, I've dedicated my life and career to empowering others. I've built a consulting practice focused on fostering inclusivity in the workplace, helping women find their voice, and empowering the next generation of great leaders. But let me be honest. Recently, I felt disillusioned. The very concept of inclusivity has been extracted from our collective lexicon. It's been reduced to buzzwords rather than lived reality. It's been demonized to the point where people don't even want to use the word inclusivity or inclusion. We've given up our right to inclusivity. We've had to fight for years for a spot to be included. And now we are being told that if we want to even use the word diversity, if we want to use the word inclusion, if we want to use the word equity, if we want to use the word equality, that we are somehow bad people for wanting to use those words and to coexist in a world that is inclusive, that we create a better opportunity for the next generation. So here's the word that you don't get to take away from me. You don't get to take away the word possibility from me. See, you can have the word diversity, you can have the word inclusion, you can have the word equity, equality, thriving, all the other words that we've been given. See, prior to 2000, DEI didn't exist. It didn't exist. Those were words that were given to us to define who the universe and the world wanted us to be more acceptable in their spaces. It was given to us to placate us as a people so we wouldn't be so angry and upset, or we wouldn't be disillusioned, or we would contribute fully to their cause. We contribute fully we contribute fully to the organization. But here's the word that they can't take away from us. The one word, and as I thought about it, the one word that they cannot take away from us is possibility. They can't take possibility away from you. They can't take possibility away from me. So rather than trying to live to the tenets of what has been designed, rather than live in what has been given to us that can be easily taken back, I want us to live from now onward in possibility. I want us to live in possibility. I refuse to dwell in a place where you get to tell me what word I can use for my future. So as I pivot in my journey, I want to create something, a new space, a space for renewal, a space for a sense of belonging, and a space as a foundation for women, especially Black women, where we can thrive, not just because someone allows us to thrive, but because it's our God-given mission to thrive and to find our possibility. I don't need permission from anyone to see my possible, and neither do you. I am what's possible. I am my ancestors' wildest dream brought to life. I am the possibility that my ancestors wanted to see. I think about my mother, who was a housekeeper, who immigrated to the United States when I was a year old to be a housekeeper, a cleaner, and a nanny for a white family in Connecticut. And she left behind her baby and her husband in another country to come to the United States to clean somebody's house. When I came to the US, when I was 3 years old, I did not come here because my mother was a housekeeper or an immigrant. I came here because my mother wanted an opportunity and a possibility that was different from her own. She wanted what was possible for me. When I grew up, she taught me and she said to me over and over, "You're possible." She showed me in ways that I could see my possible. My dad, who is now 95 years old, when I think about him, I see that he knew what was possible as well. As a constructor, as a person who's in the construction space, he saw what was possible for him. And so now, as a mom, I have 2 sons. I saw what was possible for them. And in the generation of my children, because of what my mother did, she created the possibility for me, which ultimately created the possibility for my sons. And now I have a grandson. And so the foundation of possibility was cemented by my grandmother, my great grandmother, my great grandfather. Every generation sees a new level of possibility for themselves. Every generation sees a new level of possibility. It doesn't matter if you're living in poverty or you're rich. You see possibility. You envision possibility. You stand in what's possible. So, because I know that I am my ancestors' wildest dream brought to life, I can live and dream in possibility. I don't have to live and dream in diversity, equity, equality, inclusion. No, what I live and dream and what I build is possible. Everything that we do is because it's possible. Rather than us sitting and dwelling in what we cannot have, what they have taken away from us, what we cannot build, what we cannot thrive around, what we must give up to get, I want us to step back in this moment and realize that we are what's possible. This work, this mission is my next chapter. I ask myself, what does my next chapter look like? What is the impact that I want to make? And in this moment, the answer was clear. What's your possible? This is my journey. This is our journey. Together, we will see, we will own, we will define what's possible because no one gets to dictate our future when we can see it for ourselves. No one gets to dictate our future when we can see it for ourselves. So, in this moment, I want to introduce What's Your Possible? And this is the inaugural episode of What's Your Possible, where we explore what it truly means to define your possible and why it is the critical first step in transforming your career, your life, and your opportunity. I'm going to dive deep into how we need to unlock our potential, how we need to unlock our potential, how we need to align with our purpose, and how we need to take bold action to define our future. Not letting the future define us, but how we take the bold actions to define our future, not only as women, not only as men, not only as people of color, but as significant potentials in the arms of what's possible in the universe that we live in. We are the possibility. We are the possibility. No one else. This episode is your guide to understanding what's holding you back, recognizing ways that organizations may disempower you, and discovering how to navigate your career with clarity and confidence, and how to build the life that you envision. That you envision, not the life that people want to give to you, but defining the possible as the foundation of your transformation. Defining it as the foundation of your transformation. There are no barriers to our possibility. There are skills gaps that we have to define now, especially in this AI-driven economy that is coming at us fast and furious. One of the main drivers that I'm going to focus in on and hone in on is how AI is going to disrupt us as people of color and how we need to be prepared for the skills gap and filling the skills gap and filling our knowledge base and not being afraid of what's coming, but seeing the possibilities that we have inside of what's coming to us, not what's being taken away from us. So I want us to pause on this January 1 and reflect and start building a future that you are in control of. Together, we're unpacking what it means to define possible, how to break free from limitations, and why this moment is the time to pivot and rise. So, let me talk first about your career. Let me talk first about your career. There are 5 ways that we get disempowered, where we lose our possibility, where we lose our own possibility. See, what happens is we are undervalued for the contributions that we make. And people fail to acknowledge our work and our potential, and they diminish your confidence and they stifle your growth. But if we live in possibility, we don't let that happen to us. When you think of opportunities for advancement, they restrict our access to promotions and to live to our full potential. But it's up to us to not allow ourselves to be stagnant. It's up to us to allow ourselves not to be stagnant. You know, they think that if diversity and inclusion is taken away, that we will not be able to thrive in the environment. I'm saying to you that you can find the tools and the resources to continue to thrive without the title of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The work of possibility, the work of purpose, the work of finding your true value doesn't end because people don't expect us to be what we can be. We can be it anyway. We can be it. We can do that. Even when they overlook your skills development, which is the 4th way that they disempower you, or they neglect to provide you with reskilling and upskilling opportunities that align with the future trends, we have to be willing to go out and invest in ourselves. We have to be willing to buck the overlooking and create a silo where we see ourselves looking out and we don't wait for people to give us the opportunity or to develop our skills. We have to be willing to develop our skills. And oftentimes, inside of organizations, they promote a culture of silence by discouraging open dialogue and feedback. And we don't know how to advocate for ourselves. But in this moment, I want us to recognize that to answer the question, what's your possible, nothing that an organization does stops us from finding our possible. Nothing that an organization does diminishes our possible. Our possible exists whether they want to give us the access or not. We just have to be willing to move ourselves to the next spot and continuously move until we get what we want. We do not live in complacency and fear and anxiety and anguish because they have blocked our view. We just don't live there. We just don't live there. So, what I want to take a moment right now and do in this inaugural episode is define possible in the context of what's your possible. Possible represents the vision of who you can become and what you can achieve when you align your purpose, your skills, and your actions with an untapped potential that is possible for you. It is the transformative space between where you are now and where you aspire to be. It is driven by clarity, by confidence, and intentional growth. When you recognize that the fact that you were born, the fact that you're alive today in 2025 means that you are living in possibility. The fact that you are occupying and absorbing the energy around you means that you are living in possibility right now. The fact that you are alive means that you are living in possibility. No one gets to take that away from you. It is the space between your untapped potential and what you dream of. It's the space between your potential and your dream. It is the action that you take to achieve not only your potential, but your dream. As you heard me say at the very beginning, possibility is our ancestors' wildest dream. Being the possibility is our ancestors' driven dream. It is your now. It is where you aspire to be. It's what drives your clarity. It's what builds your confidence. It what makes you intentional about your growth. As I said, we are not waiting for the diversity, for the equity, for the equality, for the inclusion. We are claiming our possibility. That's what we're doing. We are claiming our possibility. So let me tell you why all of this matters. In a world shaped by rapid change, especially in the AI disruption, our jobs will be displaced at a faster rate than any other subset of people. AI has the potential to disrupt our workplace and our ability to earn. But if we understand what is possible for us, we don't allow that disruption to define us as a community. We have to understand that the workplace is dynamics. It's being redefined right in front of us. And we have to remain empowered, adaptable, and ready to lead. We cannot be leading from behind the 8 ball, where the ball is hitting us into the gutter, right? And the stick that is being hit on that ball is sending us into the gutter. We have to remain empowered and adaptive, especially as women of color. And so as I speak in this podcast and in these live episodes, I speak to you, the women that look like me and the men that look like me. What's Your Possible is about all of us. It's about us being ready to take ownership of our future, reimagining our future, taking ownership and stepping boldly into the leadership of our potential. Your only job is to live up to your possibility. Your only job is to live up to what's possible for you. History has shown us over and over and over again that if we sit idly by and let others take away our power, we lose our seat at the table. But the harsh truth, the reality, many of us never had a seat to begin with. We've been building the seat at their table. And instead, we have been building the seat for others, pulling up to their tables, hoping for recognition, hoping for respect, and just a chance to belong. I'm saying to you in 2025, let's not allow them time after time to disappoint us. They show us that their table was never meant for us. It was never built for us. It was never built for us in mind. Yet we keep going back. We keep pulling up a chair, holding on that things are going to change for us as women, as people of color, as women of color, as women. I want to say to you, I don't need you to change because I am going to see my possible. Because if we sit around waiting for them to accept us and give us this platitude that we're never going to get, they keep asking us, what do you expect from us? We've given you everything. What do you really expect? What we really expect is to own our possibility, not to try to fit into spaces that weren't designed for, not to try to fit into spaces that weren't designed for us. Why do we keep showing up at tables that don't value our voices or our contributions? It's time to stop hoping for a space at the table and start building our own tables. setting our own rules, defining the vision, inviting those who truly see and respect our possible to come to the table. Because we cannot wait for permission, because we're going to be waiting forever if we wait for permission. Let's pull up the chair to tables that are made for us. Let us create spaces where we could see our possibilities. Let us create spaces where we can thrive. We have to learn to ask bold questions for what we want. And just as important, we have to be willing to walk away when the answer is consistently no. It's not enough to keep asking for places where people refuse to see our value, to recognize our worth. We will not, from now forward, beg for our existence. Our forefathers had to beg for their existence, to plead for their humanity, their dignity, their right to simply be. But we cannot and we will not beg for ours. We are the contribution and the engine that drives organizations' profits. We are that engine that drives the organization profits. We are not going to beg for existence. We are going to live. We are going to exist in what's possible for us. And we are going to ask some bold questions around possibility. It's not a time to seek approval from those who fail to see our brilliance. It's time to demand that what we deserve, and when it is not given, to create it for ourselves. We owe that to those who came before us. We owe that to those who come after us. And for all of us, we owe it to ourselves. We ask boldly, we stand firmly, we build fearlessly, and we do not let anyone dictate our possible. We have to make it real. We have to make it possible for us. There's a concept called possible self. Possible self is a psychological framework that reflects a future version of yourself that you want to become, or avoid becoming, or fear becoming. Possible self is a reflection of who we can become. It's our future self, the version of us shaped by our dreams and our goals, and sometimes by our fears. See, our possibility is shaped by us. It's not shaped by them. Our possible self encompasses our dreams, our goals, our aspirations, while considering the obstacles and challenges we have to overcome. We are our possible self. Fear is not an option for us. Fear of failure is not an option for us. Fear cannot paralyze us. We cannot go into 2025 living in fear. We cannot be convinced to settle, to shrink, to stay silent, to stay still. There are questions that we must ask ourselves. Do we want to live in fear? Do we want fear to dictate our choices, our possibilities, our future? Fear is a way of distorting the truth. It tricks us into believing that our possible self and our future version isn't possible. It's a thief who grows it and dares us to say we cannot reach our possible. But fear is just that, a trick. And right now, they are living to keep us in fear. They are living to keep us in fear. We cannot live in fear. We have to live in possibility, in what's possible. In every moment, we have to live what's possible for us all the time. We will dwell in possible. We will not dwell in fear. We will boldly step forward to the future that we want, because fear has no place in the life we're building. So I ask you all to join us. Define your vision. Clarify what success looks like on your term. Break barriers. Identify and dismantle the internal and external limitations that surround you. Develop yourself, your mindset, your actions. There's a distance between your current self and your possible self. We have to thrive in purpose. We have to thrive in what's possible. We have to build our life in what's possible for us and not anything else. We have to build our life in that. So, as we close out today, I'm going to ask you some what if questions. What if everything you needed to be successful was already within you? Would you stop searching for external validation and start trusting your own power? That's a great question. Would you stop searching for the external validation and start trusting your own power? What if the table you're trying to sit at was never meant for you? Could you stop waiting for a seat and start building your own table? Or exiting that table and finding one that was better for you? If the future was now, what would you do? What would you do? If failure wasn't the end but the beginning of your possible, how would you redefine setbacks as stepping stones to growth? How would you do that? How would you redefine yourself? What if limitations you see are the ones you've been taught to believe? Could you unlearn the barriers and step fully into your potential? You know, organizations have taught us to limit ourselves. They limit our access to growth. They limit our access to development. They limit our access to other positions. They limit our access to be and to live to our full potential. And then they say to a limited few, you are the high potential. But in this year, in 2025, we are living 365 days of what is possible. What if fear of change is the only thing holding you back? Would you take the first step towards the life you truly want? Or would you sit here for another year and say, I'm waiting for something else to happen? What if the version of yourself you fear becoming is already behind you? Could you stop looking back and start focusing on the future you're creating? That's a deep one. What if today was the last day you settled for less? How would your choices shift if you knew it was time to demand more? What would that look like? What would that look like if you started demanding more? So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with 5 questions to find your possible in 2025. The first question is, what does success look and feel like for me in the next year? What will it? Or what does success look and feel like for me in the next 12 months? Am I willing to let go of what no longer serves my long-term vision to achieve it? That's a deep one. What skills, experiences, and even mindsets do I need to embrace to bridge the gap between where I am and where I want to be? That's a great question. What mindset do I need to shift? What fear am I holding on to? And are they real barriers or just stories I'm telling myself about why I can't succeed? What's the story in your head that you're telling yourself about why you can't succeed? Who in my life pushes me to dream bigger and act bolder? And who might be holding me back from fully stepping into my possible? So, identifying not only what's holding you back, but who's holding you back is going to be significant to you finding your possible. What is the one bold, uncomfortable action that I've been avoiding that could change the trajectory of my future if I took it today? What would that be? What is that? So, this podcast is sponsored by Inclusion Learning Lab. And we want to ask you the question, are you ready to define your possible and take the first step towards transforming your career? Tune in, join me on the journey of empowerment, of clarity, of action. Subscribe to What's Your Possible on your favorite podcast apps. Don't miss any upcoming episodes as we dive deeper into unlocking your full potential. Never forget that you are what's possible. You are what's possible. We have a 2-hour goal setting program that we're running in January that's exclusively for women. And together we'll set some bold, transformative goals that align with your vision. The link to the program will be in the show notes. It's not just another workshop, it's a space to claim your power, to define your future, to step confidently, and I'll say that again, to step confidently into the year ahead. Don't wait for anybody to tell you what's possible. Your possible starts now. So as we close this episode, I want to leave you with this. Your possible is waiting for you. It's not something distant or unreachable. It's right here now, ready to be uncovered, shaped, and claimed. Here's the truth. No one will hand it to you. No one will hand you your possibility. No one will give it to you because they want to give it to you. No one will give it to you. You have to see it. You have to believe it. You have to take the bold steps to make it real. Now is the time to stop settling, stop waiting for permission, to stop doubting that you're capable of. Your future is not just a possibility. It is a certainty if you choose to make it so. Join our live broadcasts, listen to our podcasts on all your favorite podcast app, share this episode with your friends and family, be a part of the movement to find your possible, to lead with inclusion, and to boldly declare that no one will ever tell you that you are not possible. No one will ever tell you that you are not possible, that you are not capable, that you are not ready, that you are not deserving, that you have not earned the right to stand in the room. Our ancestors, our forefathers, our mothers and fathers, our aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews are dependent on us understanding our possible. They are depending on you to find your possible. And the universe that created you, the energy that we occupy and hold in the space right now, is asking you one question. When will you live up to your possible? When will you live up to your possible? When will you stop living less than what's possible for you? So as I said at the beginning, we are not waiting for anyone to give us the space. So until next time, keep dwelling in your possibility. And remember, you've earned the right to live to your full potential and to your full possibility and in your purpose forever. Join us again for our next episode of What's Your Possible.
Stables. I met a Whitney, Rockefeller, and Brown, and they were dancing.
Take care, everyone.
Stables.